We are officially live. Oh, I don't know what's going on with my computer. I know we're live, right? Can you guys let me know if we're live?
I think we are. It says,
yeah. Okay, we're live. It's the Mina's House podcast, episode 226. I don't know what's going on with my computer. I can't even see you guys, but I'm gonna trust that we are live. I'm Mina SayWhat.
Garnett, Briscoe.
Dexter, Stuckey.
And Shayna maybe hopefully will be joining us soon. Oh, now I can see you guys. Yay. We do stream live on YouTube if you want to find us and see our facial expressions. It's on Mina's House Pod on YouTube. And then, of course, we're on all the streaming platforms as well. Okay. So I apologize for last week, guys. I could not come on because I was actually in LA for the BET Awards for like the big broadcast. So every year they do broadcasts from LA, like leading up to the award show. And for the past 2 years, they obviously had to cancel it because of the pandemic. So this was like the first year back, and I am 7 months pregnant, and there was no way I was missing it because we had not been there not for 7 years. We had not been there for 2 years. So I was out there, and now I'm back.
Yeah.
It's back to regular business.
You was out there being a superstar. You got a chance to sit down with Jussie Smollett.
You know what, Dexter? I thought about you when I was talking to Jussie, because I'm like, Just, it's hard to be on your side because people come for you. And he was just like really appreciative. He was like, thank you. And I was like, look, I don't know what happened. All I know is I know your character. And sometimes like that's a fault of mine. Like I rely heavily on people's character. If I know your character is not, that I'm going to believe what you have to say because I know your character is not that. Mm-hmm. So that's just how I always felt about this situation, regardless of the evidence or whatever. I just felt like character wise, he's not going to be someone to make these elaborate for what? It just made no logical sense to me. Like, he's on top of the world. He's on the biggest show. I don't want to go rewind, but logically, it just made no sense to me in my head. So we had that conversation, and he was like, look, it is what it is. Now everything's about moving forward, and he's working on some projects.
Good for him. Good for him. He's a legend now. No one's ever been like accused of that. Like, have they? Like, not celebrities, right? Like, what
was his accusation?
I don't aggravated assault.
Falsifying a hate crime or something.
Yeah, it was something crazy. Yeah,
something that he did.
He's in good spirits.
Look, I would imagine so. He literally is on the red carpet of the BET Awards, and nobody's like, "What the hell are you doing here?" Everybody's like, "Oh, hey, buddy, sit down with us. Let's talk to you." Like, okay, are we gonna pretend like this didn't happen?
So what? He's supposed to be blackballed for the rest of his life? Like,
I mean, at least take the rest of the year off. Like, it's still kind of fresh.
That's the thing. He feels like this has been looming over him, and it's taken away like acting jobs. So obviously, you still have to make a living. You're not on Empire. You're not getting acting jobs. So he feels like throughout this time, he's been trying to get things off the ground, his own projects. And people have been giving him a hard time. He just wants to get back to work and focus on, making his money. Yeah. And it's like, are we going to harp on this? I mean, the man served his time. He was in jail for a week.
Okay. That's serving time.
That's it.
Right? Wasn't he there for 3 days or something like that? 3-4 days?
She said he is no longer a threat to society. He
served his time.
He better have learned his lesson. Don't do no stuff like that again.
Allegedly. All right, let's hop into someone else serving time. R. Kelly, big news, 30 years. I hope this goes away. I feel like we've been talking about R. Kelly for years. I just hope I heard that they plan on appealing it because they didn't they anticipated some jail time from what I read, his attorney. However, they didn't anticipate 30 years. So I'm hearing that they're going to try to appeal the actual sentencing because he was sentenced on sex trafficking and racketeering. And I believe, according to his attorney, they believe that the racketeering charge, you know, shouldn't have been there in the first place. I just want this to, like, okay, he got sentenced, do your time, bruh. And I just want to move on from hearing or reading about this. How do you guys feel about it?
Oh man, if he was literally doing all of this, I mean, I get it. I get it. I mean, how old is he? About, like, he's in his 50s, right?
He's in his 50s.
Yeah.
I think they say, yeah, I think he's 55. So essentially, I mean, he's spending the rest of his life in jail. So at this point, I think that's all that they're fighting for. That's why, you know, they you know, are going to try to appeal to see if he can come out and get 15, maybe 20 years. Because at 85, man, it's pretty, it can happen, but it's pretty much over at that point. So, I mean, if these things are true, then yeah, I mean, why shouldn't you be sentenced to 30 years? Why shouldn't you be sentenced to 50 years? Why shouldn't you be sentenced to life if all of these cases are true and they are underage and you are doing these heinous things to them and holding them against their will away from their family? That's not, you know, that's the type of stuff that don't need to be in society. So yeah,
I don't understand the argument of 20 versus 30 years. Like, 75 versus 85, like it's still old. Like I don't understand why fight for that. I don't get it.
Well, it may be dependent on, maybe he can serve a certain amount of that percentage. So maybe he's sentenced to 20 years, but maybe eligible for parole or something, maybe after 12 or 15.
I think they say you have to serve 85% of the sentence from what I read. I was reading on the New York Times.
Right. So, I mean, 20, it lightens it up a little bit, you know, a little bit more. Rather, 30 is, you know, he's pretty much out of here. You know, you can't expect him to survive that.
At the end of the day, and I don't like that you keep saying if, the answer is since this happened, since he did these things, since this took place. But the thing is, like, this is only one trial. This was only one of them. He has other trials coming up in other states. Like, you're never getting out of jail, big dog. Like, it's over for you. Like, we're not going to even worry about it no more. How you said you want this to go away, it's gone. You're never getting out of jail. Like, whatever you did to these girls, since you did these things to these girls, you're never going to get out of jail, and somebody's going to do this stuff to you. Like, it's over for you. It's a done deal. The only thing I will say, though, and I think this case is a really big like example of it, is that we have no type of, like, you know, jail, when your people go to jail, they're supposed to go to jail, and the purpose of jail is to rehabilitate them, to make them eligible to come back into society. I feel like the reasoning that R. Kelly is going to jail, like, is mostly because he's like a celebrity. I don't think there's any intention on rehabilitating this man. Like, they're not trying to do that. They're just trying to hold him there. And I think that that's an injustice. I don't think that he's right by any means or any stretch of the imagination, but, like, let's do what we're supposed to do, though. If he's in jail, he should be getting help for the reason that he's in there. He shouldn't just be in there just to be in there.
So yeah, but to counter that, I would say this. I mean, that's what anybody, not just his case or anything like that. I have family members that clearly, if you're in there for a reason at all, and you have to be in these inhumane conditions, get treated a certain way, you should have the option or the freedom or the liberty, actually should be mandatory, to go see someone. That goes for everybody. They don't have to go see therapy. So even in that, right? It's like you technically, when you're in prison, something has to be wrong with you, but something's pretty much wrong with everybody in there. Maybe not, you know, have a condition, but to be able to survive in such, like I said, inhumane conditions, you are going to be a little to the left, no matter how normal you may seem. And they don't have the freedom for that. So, you know, he may move around like he's regular. So he's not obligated to get rehabilitated as far as seeing a therapist every time he wants to go.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say I agree with what you're saying, whereas, like, and this is like a conversation about prison in general, like, what's the point of prison, right? So I get what you're saying, and that's why prisons did start. It was supposed to start as a way to rehabilitate people. But to be honest, some people can't be rehabilitated, and I'll be damned if you waste my taxpayer money paying for a therapist to talk to someone that's not going to get better. I mean, this man isn't even admitting that he did anything wrong. He's still saying I was innocent. If you think it's okay to pee on underage girls, I don't know what's going on in your head. Like, I don't care if their parents dropped them off. I don't care if it's like he makes excuses for his behavior sometimes when like even the Gayle King interview. I don't think people like him can be rehabilitated, and people that can't be rehabilitated need to stay in jail because they're a danger to other people. Damn, I stumped y'all.
No, I was waiting on Dex.
I'm just saying, like, have you ever heard him take accountability for anything that he's done? Like, he's always maintained his innocence. He doesn't think he did anything wrong.
But I think that's understandable that he doesn't think he's done anything wrong, because like one of the big things that his team was arguing is that like he does these things and he thinks that this is natural and okay because it happened to him like throughout his childhood. So like if the certain things are like seemingly normal to you, like you're not going to think you did anything wrong. Like us having this conversation, like we know not to curse each other out because that's wrong, but some people were raised like that and they think that cursing is the right way to get your point across. I'm not saying that he's innocent at all because he's not, but at the same time, though, like I would be okay with my taxpayer money actually going to, because right now we're paying taxes and it's going to these jail cells, and like for what though? Like what exactly are we paying for them just to stay there? I would rather you put the money that I'm giving you, the $20 that you're taking out of my paycheck. I would rather you like give these people like therapy, like even if they never get out of jail, even if they're in jail for the rest of their life. I feel like as a country, as Americans, like we should definitely be doing the best we can to like help people out, to let people know the error of their ways. And then also that would create more jobs too, because you're actually putting counselors in prisons.
Look, I get it. I would love for it to work. I just think some people can be rehabilitated and some people cannot. And it really comes down to the depth of their trauma, their willingness to also work on themselves. It's kind of like a drug addict, right? Like if you don't think you have a problem, you're never going to fully recover. You're never really going to fully fix yourself. So it's like a lot of it is like, yeah, I can try to help you, or I can try to like rehabilitate you, but how much of it do you want for yourself? And a lot of that is that, and some people, unfortunately, because of the life that they lived or their childhood, they cannot see what's wrong in their actions because their trauma is so deep, so it's like, sometimes it's like, okay, well, you just got to stay in jail because we can't fix you. We can't do anything. I had a stalker one day. Remember I told you about my stalker? In and out of mental facilities, in and out of jail. It's like, it's not like he didn't have the resources. It's clearly there that he's in and out of these mental facilities, but something's not happening, something's not working. So we'll see what happens there though. But that's a good point, Dexter. He does have other cases pending, and we'll see how maybe he can serve them concurrently. And I don't know how that's going to work.
Yeah, I think that's what, because if you're worrying about years and you have to add them up, then he's probably smoked anyway, right? Yeah, but that's what they're going to try to, that's what they're going to try to do, is just have them running concurrent. So if the first one gets 30, that means the next one, like you kind of have to start at 30 at that point. So I think that's why they're trying to bring it down, because if this one starts at 30, the second one could be 40, 50, 60 years, there's no telling, because that's the new starting point. So quick question though. So like, what do we do with all this leftover music that is out here by R. Kelly? Like, what do we do?
That's what you worried about?
I mean, no, I was worried about that, but that's still a question too, because it was everybody. We had to, I guess, boycott in order to get him arrested with the documentary, and now he is sentenced. So it's like, is it job well done? Go ahead and do your thing. Listen to R. Kelly in peace.
That's what you care about.
I think that's a really good point. And honestly, I feel like the boycott is inappropriate. And I think that radio stations that are a part of that are like wrong.
I'm sorry, I don't want to hear his music. It disturbs me.
It doesn't matter though.
I just,
it doesn't matter
it
like
really
what.
it bothers me to hear his music, and then like you start analyzing the lyrics, and you're like, ew. It's like I can't hear the songs and not unthink what I ever already think about him.
I was the same way. Like I don't want to hear any of his music. I don't want to have anything to do with it. Like I won't listen to his music. If they put an album out of his stuff, I won't buy it. I won't stream it. But I don't think that we, and this goes into other conversations that I know we're going to have tonight too. I don't think that we should be taking away other people's opportunity to stuff. Like we don't have to listen to it. We don't have to buy it. But if somebody wants it, they should be allowed to do that. I mean, the man's already in jail. So if there's any money that's being collected, it's not like he can go out there and do anything crazy with it. So like why are we doing this? It just feels like punishment at this point. And like, I don't think we should be taking it away from people. Like we should, like, sure, initially, I know we needed to do that because it was one of those things where like he was a risk. Like he would get this money, he would probably go overseas somewhere. But now he's in jail. So like, why are we doing this at this point now? It just feels like petty.
But do you know anybody who really cares about his music that much that they can't live without it?
You know, it's so many people. I'm telling you, like, it's so many people that like outside of the courthouse today, like there were so many people saying like these girls are lying. Like they're still convinced that these girls are lying and all this stuff. People be saying, if this happened, people want to listen to R. Kelly's music. They care about I'm telling you, they really do still care about R. Kelly.
Look, DJs still got like R. Kelly sets. It may not be all of them, but they definitely got some sets at the end of the night.
Look, I mean, to each his own, bro. Like,
but see,
if
you
can't go, if you need R. Kelly's music that much, I don't know what's going on with you, man. It's like, out of all the music out here, that's the music you can't live without.
You still got some top-notch music, though.
A lot of it probably about underage girls. That's the music you can't live without. Okay, not Kirk Franklin, not any gospel music. R. Kelly is the music you can't live without. Oh,
Kelly has a song with Kirk Franklin though.
Oh my goodness, fix it. All right. So there's a big conversation about women and their right to have abortions. The big, Roe versus Wade Supreme Court case was overturned, and now it's illegal in certain states to have abortion. So this is causing like just a cluster F, it's like an avalanche right now. It's like, well, if you need an abortion, where do you go? You have to travel. So people are like paying for women to go get abortions. I heard vasectomies are up. Like men just, snipping their tool.
They just overturned
because it's like you can't go get an abortion anymore. So it's like, okay, let me just snip myself. And then Plan B has been flying off the shelf, which I don't know if you remember, but during the pandemic, it was hard to get Plan B because they were having issues like in importing it. And now people are buying up like tons of Plan B. Why can't people just use condoms? I'm like, what? I'm baffled. I don't like that they're telling women what to do with their bodies because there's rape, there's incest, there's so many different things. People get drugged. There's so many horrible, traumatic things that happen to women that might cause them to get pregnant, and they should have that option, right? And that's what scares me about some of these states. There's not anything that says, hey, if you were X, Y, and Z, you're allowed to get an abortion. It's just like, no, never, right? But it's like, what?
There's no way to prove that. Like, there's no way to prove that, like, you're getting an abortion because of an actual reason or because you just simply want one. That's the reason why this really shouldn't be a conversation. Like, why are we, like, if you don't know how I got pregnant, how are you going to tell me what I should do with the unborn fetus that I have? Like, you don't know what happened to me. And essentially, you're telling me that you don't care what happened to me.
Right. But it's just a trickle down effect. So what do you think? I mean, I think we can all agree that this is wrong, right?
Yeah.
Do we have any Kimberly Elises here?
I mean, who am I to tell a woman how to conduct her body? I can't really speak on that. What I will speak on though is like, come on, man, are you serious? Like, You've had sex without a condom and sex with a condom. Which one feels better? Which one is more enticing? Like, come on. That's why it's so hard for people to wear a damn condom.
But it's like, okay, then use birth control. That's what I don't get. This whole I'm gonna go and rack up on the plan B. I'm gonna go get a vasectomy. Like, y'all really can't get birth control. Like, that's the part I can't wrap my head around, the fact that this is the outcome of that, right? I believe women should have the right to have an abortion and do whatever they want. Obviously, I think it needs to be limited as to when you can have an abortion. I don't think you should be able to have one at 4 months or 5 months, when this is like a developed child, right? I do think that, but like, I do think that in the early stages that women should have the right to choose what they're going to do. But I don't understand this. I'm going to buy a plan B. I'm going to get a vasectomy. just use birth control.
They don't want no risk. no risk at all. But no, the vasectomy thing is kind of wild though, because they just overturned this on Friday. Today is Wednesday. So you mean to tell me you heard that news and you said, get the doctor on the phone now? Like, we got to make the call.
Yeah, and it ain't no coming back from that.
Even with the Plan B stuff, you heard this on Friday. So that means as soon as you heard this Friday in the afternoon, you spent your weekend going to different stores picking up Plan B tests. Like, what is wrong with y'all?
I don't understand. That's the part I don't understand. Like, what I haven't seen an article that says birth control flying off the shelf. People buying condoms. People, ordering extra birth control. That's what I don't get. The response to it's like irresponsible. I think the response to this is severely irresponsible. Y'all just gonna be popping Plan Bs. It clearly says on the back of the box, you're not supposed to take this as birth control. It's supposed to be emergency contraception.
And I will say though, like seeing this kind of stuff though kind of proves the point of, let's say, conservatives. Like, a lot of people say that people use abortions as a form of birth control. And if you see like how people are acting now, like they're getting vasectomies and they're buying a Plan Bs, it seems as if like you're just doing anything to not get pregnant, except for like abstain from having sex, using condoms, using birth control. Like, those aren't things that are happening. It's like all this other like cheating stuff, to be honest with you. Like, a Plan B is it's like a cheat, right? Like, it's like you're doing all those things instead of like being responsible with it. And like, I know conservatives usually use like religion or whatever, but like for me, I think about responsibility. And I do think a lot of people who like get abortions, obviously for whatever reason they do it for, and that's their business, but using an abortion as a form of contraception is problematic to me.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I mean, I still think people have the right to choose. The only thing I've ever thought about abortion, honestly, is just, when do you do it? I think like having an abortion at 2 months is very different than having it at 4 or 5 months, because now this is like a developed, fetus. That's the only thing I've really conflicted with, like the timing of when to do it. Like, when is it a ball of cells versus when is it an actual child that you're carrying? But I do think that, so if anything were to change, I would be okay with that, like setting a limit. But I'm not okay with completely saying no, nothing, because there are extenuating circumstances. But yeah, out here buying Plan Bs. How about you just buy some birth control? Jesus.
Or just use the hand.
Use the hand.
Yeah. Use your hand.
Dexter.
Use your hand, use your fingers, like do it yourself. Like, I don't get like oral sex. Like, don't.
You sound like my mother, Dexter.
I don't get it. Like I understand we all like to have sex, whatever, but like, is it really that serious? Where we're like,
yeah, it is.
People are way too horny for my liking. Like, it's a little out of control. Like, y'all are crazy.
It's that serious. It is. That's why this is happening. People like raw sex, Dexter.
I see.
That's what they live for. That's why it's a lot going on outside, other than just pregnancy, right? What if that was?
Guess what? Plan B and vasectomies, they don't help you with STDs and stuff like that. They don't cure that. They don't
care about that. They got shots out here. They got pills.
Okay, you get something you get something you can't get off. Like,
I'm scared at the repercussions of this. Like, how many more women are going to get pregnant? You know, I don't think people's irresponsible habits are going to change. It's clear. I mean, this happened and people aren't out here buying birth control. They're out here buying Plan Bs and getting vasectomies. Like the irresponsibility of, just I'm just gonna have sex and not think about the repercussions. It's still there. I'm worried about what happens now, like
And then
if
there'll be a bunch of people having kids that they're not willing.
hello,
to take
that's
care of.
that's
Like,
my thing with this. Like if someone's having an abortion, they're not ready to raise that child. Now you're gonna force these people who really probably shouldn't be having children, period, right? To have these kids, like what's this gonna do to the foster care system, to the homelessness, all the kids being raised without dads and moms? It's like I'm scared of that part. People that don't want to have these children being forced to have these children, they have no business having these children.
Good point.
Yeah, this is not a good idea, and it's a slippery slope. We'll see what happens. Okay. All right. So, Young Miami and Diddy. This was actually a topic of conversation. So, Diddy has said that he's casually dating Young Miami, but he's still single. So he's been very clear about what their relationship is. She's made it very clear that she's interested in him, even kind of fishing a little bit, saying that she wants twins, and she heard that he, pumps out a lot of twins and stuff like that. So, so BET Award happens. He's getting his Lifetime Achievement Award. She's trying to secure the bag by having some twins by him. Makes the sign. He's on the stage and literally performing a song about his ex and then talking about his ex. So I wanted to talk about that because I kind of felt bad for Young Miami. People were making fun of her, but I kind of felt bad for her.
She don't care. That's the thing. She doesn't care. Like she doesn't care at all. And I know she doesn't care because remember a couple weeks ago on the show we were talking about how she was going back and forth with another girl who said that she was dating Diddy too. She don't care. Like this girl does not care. Like you knew exactly what you were doing. Like you know exactly what you're doing. And even when you asked him on your show, you said, she said to him, like, do we go together? And he was like, I don't know, or like, no, essentially. And then she confirmed that they do, but he never did. So it's kind of like, you're delusional if you think that y'all go together, but I genuinely think that she doesn't care. She's just doing this because she wants the attention. And another thing people were saying is that like he thanked Cassie, and that was like a slap in the face to Young Miami. But I don't think it was though, because like Diddy and Cassie were whatever they were for quite some time. And just imagine the things that he might have gone through in his life while he was with her. So like she really was someone that like, yes, the relationship is done. They probably have no interest in each other, but the girl was like a good foundation for him for a while. So I think it was understandable why he thanked her.
I mean, Diddy gonna be Diddy. Time has told us that he's not changing for a woman. He's not changing for a man. He's not changing for his kids. He will be him no matter what. He's going to be around a flock of women. I agree with you, Dex. I feel like she's just in it to have fun. Yeah, she looking to be one of them baby moms too that's set forever. She's around seeing that. Get your own mansion, get your stuff paid for, come to the big group, Thanksgiving dinners and Christmas dinners with, all of the kids, all of the moms and, all of the family. So yeah, she out here, remember she come from humble beginnings. So she's winning right now, no matter what. Yeah, she's winning no matter what. But I mean, and then to just go from what Diddy. I mean, I think just in relationships, we have to be able to be open and honest. We have to be able to be thankful for some of the situations that we've been through. So if you're getting a Lifetime Achievement Award, that's just not in a moment right now. That gives you thoughts. That gives you back memories. Like Dex said, maybe it was a point in time in life where he had to get through something, and guess who was standing there next to him? Guess who he had to, some conversations with, with Cassie. I'm sure of it. So I mean, we have to start, stop being so angry that an ex is being spoken about in a good light, because without that, you wouldn't be dating this person right now. This would be the person that's doing better without those trials and tribulations. So a simple thank you or a shout out, I don't think that's a slap in the face. I think that's really like growth on his part to be able to just see it for what it is. So my outlook on it.
Yeah, I mean, I just thought it was a little like they were coming at her like, you're so dumb. You're out here holding a sign and he's out here shouting another girl. Like, what are you doing? Da-da-da. But I think in general, like, they're not in a relationship, right?
She did look stupid holding that sign, though. She did look dumb. Like,
no, but my whole thing is, to me, it seemed like a joke a little bit, like she was joking around. But like, I don't see anything wrong with you hanging out with someone. He clearly still has some unresolved feelings about, I mean, Kim Porter passed away, Cassie left him. So this is not a man that's going to jump into a relationship, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with her just being around and being supportive, even if it's just like friendship. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if it's sexual between them or not, but it's like, in general, like, what's wrong with you knowing that the man that you're hanging out with isn't ready for a committed relationship? I don't think there's anything wrong if you're in that space in your life for you to just be around and just be a friend to that person or hang out. Maybe you have a really good time and we're joking around. I'm gonna hold up your sign, to show you I support you. I just thought it was like the internet kind of jumped on her, like, and it's like, come on, man. Like, they're not in a relationship. He's never claimed her, and it's like, if she wants to be around and be supportive to him and they just want to have fun and have a good time and joke and laugh, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It would be different if she was like, that's my man and da-da-da-da. But like, he's very clear, like, I'm not with you. So him shouting out another woman is probably the reason why he's not with her to begin with, because he has unresolved feelings about his other relationship. Mm-hmm. So she wants to hang out and wait. That's on her. That's a personal decision. Me,
That's fine.
I'm not doing it. But it's like, if you want to hang out and just be this platonic, we hang out, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. She's supporting him. He's getting a Lifetime Achievement Award.
Clap. Just clap, but don't hold no sign. Don't do that no more.
No.
Hold the sign. Hold the sign. We're going cheer. That's right.
Yeah, what happened to the support? This is the Lifetime Achievement Award here.
I'm into it. But like, I've seen like people who are married get Lifetime Achievement Awards and their partner. Good job. You doing the most. Like, you doing the most. Like,
he's trying to secure the bag.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's talk about this because my man was having a conversation about this, and I don't know where it stems from. Maybe you guys do, but the conversation was about basically, should you have to buy things for your child's siblings? So
okay. Where this stems from, though, there's a video. It's this viral video on social media where a guy is coming to like his baby mother's house. And he has McDonald's, and she's like, that doesn't look like it's enough for everybody. And then he's like, oh, this is for my son. And like, they go back and forth about it. And she's saying to him, like, why would you come here with just enough for him and not everybody else? And like, that's kind of where it stems from. I don't know how many kids she has, but like, I guess she has the one by him.
So what do you guys think about that? Because we live in a society where literally everybody doesn't have the same parent. And, some people don't have the same parents, and you're raising kids that, have multiple parents. I mean, what is there a responsibility to treat all the kids the same? I mean, these are your child's siblings, right?
I feel like me and you will be on the same page here. Garnett's going to be different from us. So Garnett, you start this off.
Oh man, you put me on the spot. Listen, I personally think it's all situational. I think if you are the man at the house, you treat everybody the same. That's your responsibility if you're the man at the house. Outside of that, I don't think you're obligated to do anything for anybody, but there are some nice gestures that can be made if you can do it. So maybe, if you have $20 instead of $5, how about you buy a pizza? But you're not obligated to do that every time. Woman, what are you doing? Man in the house, what are you doing? Is there other food in there? Do you have food cooked? Like if they were at school and I wanted to bring my child something at school, do I have to do that do I have to get all of them out of class? Do I have to do that? I don't think that person should have to do that at all. I think, don't take somebody's kindness for weakness. In a situation like that, you only can see the clip. We don't know what happened before that, and we're not going to know after that. But yeah, I don't think the man that isn't in that household should be responsible for every kid that's in that household that may not even be his. It's not like they're all sleeping over his house. It's not like they're at his son's birthday party where he has to feed them. That's not really his obligation. His obligation is to, do something nice for his child. Now, is it going to rub some of them the wrong way? Maybe. But now, as a parent, that's up to you to smooth that out. That's up to you to make sure that they all got something to eat. But don't put that on whoever did that, whether that's the mother or the father. I think whoever's in charge of that household, that's your responsibility. Everything else that happens after that, no, because let's say if this was sneakers, let's say if this was Christmas, like people just saying it because it's food. But what if it's something else? What if it's shirts? Do I have to bring $50 shirts for everybody? No, I don't.
So I've been arguing about this all week long. I don't understand who raised you people. I don't know what's wrong with y'all. Like y'all, something ain't right with y'all. I'm really serious. Like something's not right with y'all. How do you think it's appropriate for you to go somewhere? Your child has siblings. You wouldn't want your child treated less than ever in any situation.
That's not less than though, Dex. That's not less than. It's, hey, look, I'm coming to do this for this person. To me, I don't think that's less than that. I don't, because the way I'm looking at it, no, because I'm obligated for this. Less than is having an obligation of everybody and only doing it for one person.
But I think my child. I think if you have a child with someone and that person has other children, I do think that you have an obligation to do for that other child too, specifically when you're doing for yours. So like, it's not, I would never want to be in a situation where there's 3 kids there and I'm bringing McDonald's for 1 or 2 of the children and they're going to sit there and eat that in front of this other child, or I'm buying a PlayStation for my child only and the other kids are just going to have to just watch them play. Like, I just don't think you do kids like that. And I think that creates a lot of like issues between the children too. And I can see why women would get upset about that, because the woman is the one who has to then deal with the issues. I feel like men who think that this is okay to be like, you know what, I'm only going to do for my child and not for the other, increase your child support then. Do that, increase your child support, and then you don't have to worry about how the money is being divided up and stuff like that. If the child is with you and only you've taken them for the weekend or whatever, you do what you got to do. But when you are bringing something to that home that child shares with other siblings, be respectful and take care of all those kids.
How about if it's like 3, 4, 5 other kids?
Well, you shouldn't have laid down with some woman with 3, 4, 5 other kids.
What if he's the first one? Like, what are you talking about? What if he was the first one?
See, for me in this situation, I think it would be one of those things. If I was ever in a situation where but I also don't date women with kids, though. That was like one of my things always. I was like, I won't do it. But I feel like if this is a thing that you're doing, like the men should be coming together and building a community. Like we should all be looking out for each other's kids. Like that's what should be happening. But like if one's not doing something for the kid, like and then you don't do nothing for the kid, then the mom's the only person doing it for the. It's just, I don't know. I just feel like that is creating issues. And I also feel like this only happens with broke people. Like people with money don't have issues like this. Like I just couldn't imagine doing something like this. And I will say to you guys though, I feel this way and I'm not changing on it, but somebody who I was going back and forth with, they said, so Mariah Carey's supposed to get something for all Nick's kids. Yep. And when they said that, I said, okay, maybe I'll change my mind a little bit. Because
that's what I said. How about if it's a lot of kids?
Yeah, I think, go ahead, Mina, I'm sorry.
I just really think it's a slippery slope. You know, I see both sides and I honestly do. I remember my mother and I were having an argument because I had bought one of my my little cousins something because I noticed she needed it, right? And I bought it for her and then her mother was like, well, you know, can you buy another one for her sister? And I was like, no. I was like, I bought it for her because I noticed she needed it. And she was like, well, now they're fighting over it. And I'm like, I don't understand why, if I gave it to the one person, and it was like age appropriate. They had different ages, right? They're different ages. So what I gave the girl was age appropriate. It's not age appropriate for the other girl, right? But now it's creating conflict, right? So now my cousin's telling me like, okay, well, can you buy another one for the second one? And I said, no.
Your cousin is bold too.
No, but yeah, right. But I was like, I spent $60 on this. I'm not going to spend $120 on this gift. I gave it to her out of the goodness of my heart, because when I saw the object, I thought about, oh my God, so and so needs this, right? So this is like a good thing that I tried to do. But then in turn, I was being asked to spend double the money, and I'm like, these ain't my kids. Like, I did this to be nice, and me and my mom had a big argument, because she was like, you're so selfish. Why would you give one child one thing? And da-da-da. She's like, you don't have siblings, so you don't know what it's like. But I grew up, my mother's one of 8. And she's like, I grew up with a lot of siblings, and it doesn't feel good when one sibling gets one thing and the other one doesn't. It makes you feel like you're not good enough, or you're less than. And I'm like, Mom, that is not my responsibility, right? It's not my responsibility to raise her children. I did something nice for the child. Now, I'm sorry I created issues. You as a mother have 2 options. You either take it away and say, hey, thank you for giving this to her, but she can't use it. Or you buy another one for the other one. She's like, well, why would you force her to go out of her pocket and spend $60 to buy a second thing? And I was like, well, she's requiring me to do it. She asked me to do it. So why not you do it? Like, or create a system where they're sharing it, right? Mm-hmm. You get it for this amount of time, you get it for that amount of time. But why is it my responsibility to come out of my pocket $60 more, when all I was really doing was just trying to be like sweet, and I thought about her? And it caused a big issue. But then on the other side, I saw my mother's point. I'm really down the fence on this. Sometimes it's hard to have to deal with someone else's choices, right? This is a choice you made. This is something you did. You had multiple kids with multiple people. This is your life. Why do I have to step up for a choice that you made? That's the hard part for me, right?
Yeah, I think your argument is good, and I feel the same way you do too. My whole thing is obligated. That's the only thing I'm fighting for, is that word. It's not a mandatory thing, just like in your case, Mina, it wasn't mandatory. You did something out the kindness of your heart, and it's like, well, yeah, I'm not forcing her to spend the extra 60, but yeah, if you want to meet me halfway, please do. Like, because I did something I didn't have to do. So it's like, I didn't have to do that. You was going to have to spend 120 period. So I made your job a little bit easier. Help me out. One hand wash the other.
But I think if we coordinated that, it would be better. Like Amina, and I don't think you were wrong in that situation at all. Actually, I probably would have done it the same exact way. But like in a situation like that now, like going forward in the future, if you were to ever do something, it's like, okay, let's coordinate this. Like, yeah. And that's what I do with my brother now too. Like, I'm like, okay, let's coordinate these situations or whatever. You have 3 kids, like, what do they want for Christmas? Like, okay, you're getting this, I'll get this, I'll get that. And that way, like, everybody's taken care of. Right. And I just feel like, that's why I said, like, with the community, like, with these men, like, they're part of this community, and they could band together. The mom could band together. Truthfully, I really don't understand how people have issues with raising kids like separately, co-parent. I don't understand that. I really don't. But like,
it requires a lot of communication. Like in this particular situation, she could have been like, look, let me tell you something. I get that that's your son and you wanted to buy this for your son, but if you're going to do this, can you just do it outside of the household? You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, if you want your kid to have McDonald's, take your child specifically to McDonald's. You know what I'm saying? Like, remove them from the other kids.
Or how about you call me beforehand, going back to your part of your story, Mina. How about you just call me beforehand, and then we can just go half. You're spending, $15-20 more, but now it's me. Now it's me being a mom or the dad. Now it's my responsibility, okay, to step up to the plate. Yeah, I didn't want to have to spend $10 or $20, but shit, we here now because I can't let the other kids go hungry. or I can't let them see that there's a difference. And thank you so much for doing your part and putting up more than what you had to do. Yes. But, now we came together for something. So I was raised by a community going to Dex Point, whether it's my aunts, my uncles, my grandmom, brother, like everybody pretty much chipped in. If I had clothes on my back, it wasn't just one person doing that. And you better believe my cousins had clothes too. Even if it wasn't the same thing, they got something. Okay, I might bring my son. He got a Big Mac, but at least he got two dollar burgers and a fry.
At the end of the day, he got McDonald's too. Like they all got McDonald's. Yeah. So in a food situation, it definitely makes a little bit more sense. Just thinking, if you have $10, $12, $15 to spend on McDonald's, especially now because McDonald's is expensive as heck. You can't walk out of McDonald's with less than $10. It's like the new Wawa. But it's like that can get you a pizza. That can get you two Little Caesars pizzas. Like it can get you more than enough. You talking McDonald's and Little Caesars. They like it's a world of difference between the two.
One has fries. I'm just saying that the quality level of what we're eating. Yeah. But it's like, at least like when it's food, you can look at it that way. Okay, I'll bring a pizza there. And, you make sure you take your 2 slices, son, and, everybody do what they got to do. But, at least everybody can at least have something. So,
and you're seeing your child too. Like when you do that, like your child knows that you provided that, and your child knows that you provided that for him or her and their brothers and sisters. And then honestly, I feel like the other dads should see that kind of behavior and be like, well, you know what? Let me step it up too, because I don't. My child didn't go without because of this man, and I don't want their child to go without.
Well, that's the key right there, and I don't think anybody should be obligated to provide for any child that's not theirs. But that it really comes down to the communication of okay, a problem has been created. One child has something that the others don't. I don't think it's the right tactic to be like, you selfish, you should buy for all the kids. No, he didn't make those kids.
And I feel like this has been such a big topic because of how it was presented too. That video is really bad and very damaging to my point, really. Like it's like, truthfully, like I wouldn't even buy my child nothing if it was that woman. She took the food and threw it on the ground and like cursed them out.
You can't, like, girl, grow up. What you needed to do is say, hey, let me talk to you real quick on the side. I'm like, look, I know these other kids aren't your kids, but they're siblings and they're under the same household. So I need you to be conscious of that. So if you're going to buy the kids McDonald's, maybe ask me like your child McDonald's, like maybe say, hey, I'm getting him McDonald's and he's bringing it home. Hey, and I'll be like, all right, let me cash app you $20, $30 or something. And can you buy for all the kids, if you're going to bring it here? Or if not, just be like, hey, just keep your son. Go and take him directly. You take him so the other kids don't have to see it. And then the other thing is you should then go to the parents or, the father or mother of the other kids and be like, hey, I want to take the kids to McDonald's. Can you please send me some money? Like if you don't have the money to put it up, that's really how that's handled. And I know it's complicated, but it's like, okay, you decided to have these kids with all these different people. So your resolutions are going to be complicated, but you can't obligate someone to provide for something that they did not create. For example, like a PlayStation. How about that? You buy your kid a PlayStation and then the kid's, brother breaks it. What happens? Or are his brothers allowed to play? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, or who gets the playing time? Like, it's your PlayStation. Should you want to play 5 hours and only give your brother 1 hour? Like, how do you divvy that up? I mean, technically it's his PlayStation, right? So how do you divvy that up?
So that was going to go to my next point. I think that's an excellent question right there. So no matter what, when you're raised in a household with other people, you're forced to share certain things, certain days. As the person that's running that household, whether this situation happens or not, whether it starts young or happens later, you have to be able to let people know that some things aren't for you at certain times. When it comes to like birthdays and stuff. Like I know kids that I remember crying at my brother's birthday because he was getting all the gifts. It's like, I'm wrong, and I had to be told that, like, I'm not supposed to be getting any gifts. Nobody's supposed to be buying extra gifts for me because I don't like that he's getting all the gifts and it's unfair. It's really not unfair, but that's a moment that we have to, regardless of this food situation, it's going to happen. So those moments you have to work out anyway. Hey, this is for your brother. Like I said, it may not be the food, but if he gets a basketball jersey, you guys aren't passing around a basketball jersey, or at least you shouldn't want to, right? But that's not the thing. It's, hey, this is for your brother. That's it. Like, don't complain about that, because it's going to be a day where you're going to be getting something and your brother isn't. Like, there has to be some type of rules and fairness, that everything just isn't always about you. Sometimes it is on a single person, but everybody will have that day. When someone graduates school, like, yeah, everybody's not getting a graduation present. That's not fair. You're not sharing the light to this person. Like, it's not always about you. So the actual situations come up regardless. If it's like this with food, it's going to come up in a household when you have siblings or people living and having to share. And I think that's a great point with the PlayStation. Essentially, that's everybody's PlayStation unless you keep it at your house as a father.
Right.
That's everybody's.
Here it's everybody's. Yes, I agree.
Right. And the person that purchased it got to know that too, that you can't just be like, this is mine. No, everybody's gonna play it, because I can't expect somebody to buy 5 of them. That's just ridiculous, like.
Yeah. But again, it comes down to the communication, like the mother or the father saying, like, hey, just understand that we share in this house, right?
Right.
So if you're buying a PlayStation for your son, just understand that his siblings are going to be playing as well. Just like if his siblings had toys, he would be playing with their toys as well, So
Right.
I think I saw like another post where there was a father that was upset because he had bought the PlayStation so he could play with his son, right? Through like whatever game where you can play people. And then the mother was like, oh, well, his brother is playing right now, so you have to wait because it's his brother's turn to play. And the guy was like, I bought that PlayStation for my son so I could play with him when I want. It's like a bonding experience. We're not in the same house, but we're
my house. You can't control my house, so you can't control what goes on in my house.
See, there's another thing. It's like a slippery slope,
Nope.
It's like, are we sharing? Are we not sharing?
When the kid is at your house, then you guys know that that's your bonding time that y'all can play together. When he's here, maybe y'all can, maybe y'all can't. It depends. Maybe you can coordinate the schedule with his other brother. Communication is just very easy for me. I just don't really understand how people have such a hard time co-parenting. I really don't.
And once again, Dex, you hit the nail right on the head. As a father, I guess you have to go and create that schedule and let everybody know what it is, put it up on the board, and you stick by it. But also, once again, those are those situations where now everybody has to share. So even that kid, right? I know he's a kid, but those are teaching moments. Hey, look, let him play for a couple hours. I know you're playing right now, right? But let him play right now. It's going to be, you can have it for the next 3 days when, but let him play right now for a couple hours.
Happening.
Right. And it's more so, just sharing it, and teaching people how to share and not saying, well, it's mine. Like, I've been in all these situations. So like, I'm like replaying everything to see how it went and then how it possibly could have went. And more so is literally like, I remember getting beat for certain things because just being flat out wrong and selfish, and vice versa, whether it's my brother or my cousin, because it's like, yeah, you have to share things. It's not just yours when you're in a household. I don't care if it's in your room or not. It's not just your video game.
Yeah, but what's the messaging there? Is it's yours and you're sharing, or is it's all of us? It's the house item. Like, what is the messaging?
I think it's a mixture of both, right? So even in my circle, because it don't make sense, especially now how expensive these video games are, right? And especially if you're buying it for kids around the same age, let's say you're 8 to 9 years old, I'm not going to buy 2 different things, right? So if aunt or uncle or this person's sister or whatever the case buys it for one, you have to know that has to be shared. Is it yours? Essentially, right? Okay, cool. You may get first dibs, but you're sharing no matter what, you know, because what if somebody else buys a game for your brother and you actually want to play that game, but you have the system, and what, like, you have to share no matter what, no matter what. You have to pass that controller over. It has to be, you know, and I guess to make that easier as well, instead of having it in your room, you have it on like the living room TV or something like that, where it's not in anybody's sole possession. And, you know, you guys have to play together. You guys and girls have to play together. So it's definitely communication, Dex, and being stern with something and letting kids know this is for everybody. And whoever purchased that, this, once it hits this door, this is for everybody. Especially something that you can't split in half. And
that's what I was going to say. It depends on what it is, because with the food situation, I do think that woman was out of pocket. It's not that man's obligation to feed your other kids. But when it comes to like a PlayStation, like an object, it is something that needs to be shared because it stays in the house, you know? So everything, like to your point, Dex, is about communication and not being upset. Like, you know, like, okay, they're your kids. Obviously it's going to hit home. You're going to be affected by it, but it's like, they're not his kids, and you can't expect him to provide for children that are not his, you know? And it's a matter of a simple communication. It's your job to provide for those kids, not that man that didn't make them. So it's like, I think that's, you know, I understand why a woman would be upset, because you're making her other kids feel like they're like not good, or, you know, it's messed up to do that to the other kids, you know, but you also don't know another man's financial situation. Like, this goes from me buying my kid a $15 meal to me spending $60 in McDonald's because I got to feed 3 kids. I didn't sign up for that. These ain't my kids. I ain't got it in my budget. You know, I just think it's unfair to have that expectation from someone. And I think it's better to just communicate a little bit better and like find a resolution.
Yeah, I think, you know, if I was in that position, you know, as her, she was on the other foot, it's either, yeah, you're taking this food back, or I'm just going to eat it. Nobody's going to have it.
I mean, if I were her and that happened, I'd be upset, right? I'd be like, okay, why would you come in here with food and then have your kid eat in front of the other kids and not have any, right? But then now I got to resolve the issue. So the resolution is you tell the father, like, hey, this creates a problem in my household. Now, I thank you for taking care of your son and feeding him, but, you know, moving forward, can we just communicate a little bit better? Maybe you just take him on your own and you feed him and the other kids don't got to see. Or if you're going to McDonald's and you don't have time to sit there and you know, you got to bring it back with food, just give me a heads up and I'll send you money and you can pick up food for the other kids as well. But this is not a resolution. One kid eating and the other one's not eating and staring. That's not an option.
And that's something that, like, you know, you get your point across too, where the look on his face, I know would have been crazy if she called the kids down. I don't know how many kids she had, but let's say it's 4, right? She called the other 3 down and she literally broke everything up in 4 equally.
That would be terrible. No,
and it's like, well, look what you know. Well, she gave everybody something, but it's like, look, it's not like, you can't put me in that situation to give everybody. Like, don't do that. Just
you can't divvy up what someone else bought for their kid like that.
Like, you can.
Yeah, it's not like a sharing situation. It's gone once it goes. Like,
that's what I mean. It's like, well, you can't, like, you know, if that's if you want to.
That's extreme. That's like throwing it on the floor. Like, that's that's not the resolution. I'm gonna need you to DoorDash yourself some McDonald's, girl. And, you know, resolve the issue momentarily and then have a long-term discussion with the father of your child saying, look, moving forward, we just can't do this.
I don't know. I mean, in that specific situation, though, Garnett might have the best answer because, like, in the video, before she threw it on the ground, she's like, my food stamps don't come to the 11. So there was no door dashing happening there.
Oh.
Like, that was it. Like, and then she threw the food on the ground. I'm like, so you mean to tell me that not only will the kids not eat, but you won't either? Like, there's no money coming into this household. Like, I just couldn't be poor.
So you can't reach out to the other kids' fathers and be like, hey, can you send me $20 for McDonald's? Like, what?
Here you go, begging again. Then you just
Dex.
Well, if you can't afford it, why you got all these damn kids? Like,
I don't understand why people. Never mind. I'm gonna.
That's a whole nother conversation.
Right.
Well,
on next week's episode of the House Podcast.
I just cannot. I can't. If you can't afford it, you can't expect someone to afford it for you or give you the money to afford it. Like,
and guess what's cheaper than McDonald's? Condoms.
Thanks. Well, on that note.
Oh no, I don't know, bro. Condoms is high. 3-pack of condoms.
Okay, bye, y'all. That is the 226th episode of the Mina's House Podcast. I'm Mina Say What.
Garnett.